Hello and welcome to part 2 of my plan to save Halo with a better story. So, in the first video I laid out part 1, um, which takes place, after Halo 3 and replaces Halo 4, 5, and 6, replaces their storylines and um, hopefully creates a more compelling Halo universe that stays true to a lot of Halo's themes and is perhaps more compelling or interesting um, as a story. So uh, I want to continue that. Thanks for everybody who liked the video and commented. Um, so let's get into it. Okay, so the way the first part ended was Chief's alone with his squad here, squad mates, and the Spartans on Requiem. And sure enough, he gets some backup. So June here from Halo Reach, and who's a friend of George, right, in the campaign, arrives, in a longsword with some weapons, ammunition. Excuse me, but he also arrives with Miranda Halsey. Okay, so who's that? Introduction to it. This will be a new character. Um, so basically, if you know the story, Miranda Keyes was Halsey's daughter. Dr. Halsey being the scientist behind the Spartan Project and probably some other stuff. But Miranda Keyes was her daughter, but with Miranda Halsey here, this new character, basically if you find out that Halsey cloned herself, right? Not a Flash clone, but like a more like superior clone type of cloning, where she basically raised this her second daughter from birth by herself, like in a lab, and never told her anybody about it, and including her other daughter. So that's totally something Halsey would do, is because she's so you know uh, not evil, but she just has a very selfish mind and is very I don't want to say Machiavellian, but she would do something like that. That's just kind of evil genius level stuff and secretive. So that's who Miranda Keyes is, or Miranda Halsey, we're calling her. She even gave her the same name as her other daughter, right? Kind of weird that she would do that, but she's a weird lady. So Miranda Halsey, smart, is a smart character who has a resemblance to Halsey and Cortana. A very similar likeness. Go figure. Okay. So, oh, yeah. So, so now the chief and his Spartan allies and rebel allies, they and Halsey, I'll call Miranda actually, they want to go and join the war effort because they're just sitting on Requiem alone. So what they do is they go find the map room of Requiem. So they have to fight through all these sentinels, and now's a good time for me to jump back here. So I should add that when uh, the chief told this monitor here about how they destroyed the Ark and destroyed Halo rings, this monitor was pissed, and he's like, basically, I'm gonna go tell the master builder about this, and also I'm adding in that, yeah, the Sentinels are not happy with him. So every time you see a Sentinel on the Requiem, they're pretty much aggro against you, so they're aggressive. Not happy with the chief over that, and you're kind of considered like an invading force on Requiem to the Sentinels and the Monitor. So you have to fight through the Sentinels and fight through various types of Sentinels to get to the map room. Um, and so once you're there, the cartographer, uh, they learn of the different locations of the Halo rings, and they're going to go find one where the Covenant has a stronghold, so they can go fight the Covenant. Um, so this is an opportunity to do some character building for Miranda Keyes, and they're not fully trusting of her yet, right? Because she's Halsey, she's Oni, entrenched. But Miranda's got her own reasons to be um, uh, skeptical and uh, at odds with Halsey and everything she's doing, because her mom's like kind of crazy and like evil genius level. So anyway, so on the Halo rings, you're introduced to a faction of elites that are, the Sangheili, that are fighting the humans and fighting, the UNSC and the other elites too. So you've got elites and bad elites, and these you're introduced to the bad elites. Why are they bad? Well, because they've basically defected from the other Sangheilis, right? The shipmaster and the arbiter, because of the fact that they know that the UNSC Oni the humans originated the original virus that turned into the flood and wiped out so many of their species. So they're like, yeah, that's not forgivable. We're actually going to join the Covenant instead because you guys aren't the allies we thought you were. And so that makes sense to me that like, okay, now we have a reason to be fighting the elites again, is that they're very politically at odds with humans. Makes sense. So elite faction cannot forgive humans for their deceit, so they join the Covenant. Okay. And of course you still have the Sanshayum leader that's sort of orchestrating the Covenant from behind the scenes. So on this Halo ring, where there's a Covenant stronghold, you get on the Halo ring, but you don't land where, let's say, a lot of the Covenant has a stronghold, because you don't want to, attract too much attention. You don't want to get killed. So the chief and his friends, his allies, are landing as close as they can on the ring to then go get to the stronghold and kill them and kill all the bad guys. But to do that, they basically have to land on the ring and then fight through everybody. So also, I think it'd be really cool to imagine you're on the Halo ring. You look up at the sky at the other part of the Halo ring, and there's just a giant storm, let's say, and that storm is like continually, progressively getting closer to you, and that's part of the skybox. So anyway, so it should be noted that the Covenant is getting control over the systems of the Forerunner systems and technology, um, basically by coordinating and cooperating with the monitors. And the monitors basically see the Covenant as a more benign species than the humans at this point, because of the fact that they wanted to previously light the rings and not destroy the rings or destroy the Ark. So that makes a whole lot of sense for the monitor. They're like, yeah, great journey or not, you guys had the right idea. So on this ring, there's a chieftain, this emperor of this Sanshayum. There's an elite. There's even some, jackal lords. The Covenant want to use Forerunner weapons, turn against, and Sentinels to turn against humans. On this ring, Cortana is actively fighting the Monitor or the Covenant AI within the network of the rings to get access to information, probably with the help of Miranda Halsey. And so eventually the chief and his allies have to go in the interior of the installation because the storm progressively gets closer and they have to go through the interior. And so I think, this would be some cool opportunity to fight, like jackals with snipers, or like a hive, the drones with their flying insect guys, fight a queen with a whole bunch of drones and everything. Also fighting the sentinels. Okay, so and maybe a chieftain that continually comes up to smack you around a bit. But eventually, as you're coming out of the interior of the installation, the covenant, I'm sorry, not the flood, you start discovering the flood. The flood's been on the ring, kind of in hiding, and they start making an effort to make themselves known and taking over as many life forms as they can. How do they get on the ring? Well, when Gravemind had the High Charity, of course he sent out pods, life pods for flood spores and sent them around the galaxy. That only makes sense that he would do that. So this ring was one of the installations that um, the flood, got to reach, um, and so maybe took over some wildlife, on the ring. I don't own any of this art or anything, by the way. I just found it off the internet, and shout out to the creators of that. I'm not making any money on this video or anything, anyway. So, um, okay, so now the you're running from the flood that's taking over all the people, all the enemies that you killed. It's gonna overpower you. So, of course, the enemy uses this opportunity to convince the Monitor. Yeah, everywhere the chief goes, the flood follows. Like, they're the bad guys. The enemies, the humans are the bad guys to the rings and to the Monitor, right? So Chief has to basically run away. So take the ship, leave. Um, as he's leaving in the longsword, leaving the ring, he basically gets captured by the Infinity, who's more or less tracking his whereabouts in the ship. So he's captured. Lasky's there. I think it should be noted that Lasky probably should have been there from the start, like on this on the Infinity the first time he met. And Lasky's kind of like a neutral party in this. Like he respects the chief a whole lot because they have a history, but he also needs to keep chief in line. So uh, Chief and Locke have a rivalry now because Locke has taken something from Requiem. The chief won't let the Infinity or Oni inside the doors of Requiem, so um, uh, they need access, but Chief won't allow it. And so, Chief is like, this isn't just, me being righteous, not letting you guys in to Requiem. The Monitors are convinced that, we are the bad guys for destroying the rings and the Ark, and basically Requiem won't be safe for the Infinity and won't be kind to anybody on who's landing there, and it isn't. So what's his plan? Chief wants to make peace with the Foreigner machines, and he's got an idea how to do that because um, in the installation, Miranda Halsey and Cortana found clues, by hacking everything, where the Forerunner crypt could be, and so a Forerunner crypt that would house potentially uh, a Forerunner, the Master Builder. So that's how he wants to do it, but he's not really saying that. So the flood is on the ring. They may be able to contain it, but the Infinity, Lasky, says they don't have the numbers to do that. Let the Covenant deal with it. Chief refuses to give them access to Requiem, and Chief is essentially court-martialed. He's given, the order. He refuses it, so he's being stripped of his power here. He's being court-martialed. So But the Sangheili and um, the Arbiter who's there essentially sides with the chief and is like, actually, the chief, he's he's right. Uh, he's right about the flood. He's right about what to do about it. Um, oh, and he's right not to trust Oni because the Sangheili certainly don't. Um, so they basically take him, and they're like, okay, come with us. So, um, also in hologram form, Dr. Halsey's there, wants to talk with her daughter about everything, but they have a rivalry going, as her daughter's kind of rebelling against her because of all of the mistreatment of the past and secrets and lies and everything. Um, so Miranda Halsey's gonna keep going with us, keep going with the chief and the arbiter, that is, and his team, and they're gonna go find the master builder, which his name is Faber, but you don't know that. So they're gonna go find the master builder, and doing that, it's actually near the closer to the San Shayum uh, homeworld, and that's in enemy territory. So they go uh, try to find the crypt. So you get to the crypt, and of course you got to fight through waves of sentinels and enemies to get there. Excuse me. And so basically, you meet this foreigner who's been like in cryosleep, or essentially in storage, not storage, but he's been on ice. So somewhere like probably a smaller like shield world or something, and or maybe a shield world that's been destroyed. But anyway, sorry. So you find Faber, the master builder, and he's the guy this was his idea of building the rings, building the ark. And this guy is basically your grandfather. He that sounds anticlimactic, but I didn't want an overpowered foreigner guy, like we got in Halo 4. I think that's ridiculous. So this guy is basically like, you know, I was told that your kind originated the flood. You should have known better, but it's our fault, the foreigner's fault. We didn't intend for you to carry the burden of basically the mantle of responsibility. Basically, he didn't intend for humanity to become the prominent species or in the galaxy, right? So he thought the foreigners might be return, and they didn't. So Faber's only goal really is to stop the flood, and so he's like, talking to the chief, is like, you guys are young. You did what you thought was right in destroying the flood and the ark, in saving yourselves, but it's short-sighted, and basically you and your species will learn the flood is unstoppable, and hopefully you do that before it consumes you all. So um, he's like an understanding foreigner guy who is just infinitely, more experienced than the chief or any other human. So he's like, you know, you guys are young. I'd probably do the same thing if I was your age, kind of thing. Uh, so the Faber knows the flood sent spores across the galaxy. He tells the chief that, look, I'm initiating another arc to be constructed from the shell of Requiem, and it's the only way. More Halos is the only way to kill the flood. So, basically, just double down. Like, you're gonna have to learn that one way or another. So Faber commands the monitors. He basically overrides their say to make peace with the chief, and this may this may turn the tides a bit for the humans and the Sangheili allies. So back on Requiem, a new arc is being built out of the shell of Requiem. So you would see this back at Requiem. They're gonna build a whole nother outer shell using foreigners and using Sentinels. They're gonna and other foreigner machines. They're gonna build another arc on the outside. Like so, if you can imagine, this was the arc. Um, this is gonna be built from the outside of Requiem. So it's gonna be built right on top of it as a layer, and then you know made and sent off, to be another arc to make it possible to fire all the halos at once and kill all life in the galaxies and destroy the flood, just like it was done before. So that's a bitter pill to swallow, but Chief knows he can't fight this guy, uh, and he understands that. At least the Monitor and the Sentinels aren't mad at him anymore. So they, oops. So that's where. I think I'm ending part two. Um, yeah. So in this part two, I'll cover part three in the next video. Um, to sort of put a, I guess, let's see, how can I tie this up? Um, I think we're returning to some kind of cool things here, like fighting the flood, uh, different bosses, of the Covenant. Um, Cortana having a active role in, um, in the game, and this Halsey, Miranda Halsey character, I think is interesting. Um, you know, uh, Besides that, I think we get to see the Chief Locke rivalry continue, and Chief is definitely um, at odds with the UNSC and Oni, and the Oni's at odds with him. And I think that kind of perpetuates uh, the rivalry. And like if you remember, like Halo 5's marketing, like there's it portrayed the Chief as like being uh, this rogue I don't know, actor, and like um, it had a really interesting kind of mystery about it. And so I think that kind of uh, activates the same kind of mystery, and like I think it goes well with the story. So um, anyway, I think that concludes this part two. Um, cover part three next time. So thanks. Leave any comments, feedback. I'll probably make part three soon. So thanks.